because I believe that the curriculum for rural areas should be kind of specially created to allow them to focus on the trade in that rural environment. We cannot be expecting the same result from students taught in an urban area and those in the rural areas.
Why do you say that?
So we are talking about localizing our teaching, which is very, very important. Let students know the application of what they are learning in class with their immediate environment. In urban areas now, it would be very hard for you to even go to class with the cassava stem.
Definitely.
But in rural areas, they can go to farm themselves, plant them, see how it is germinating, but which is practically almost impossible in urban areas. Education should not be the last option. That's because I couldn't go for medicine.
I love that. Education should not be last option.
It should be a course that students will want to go for. We are talking about people that will go to class to go and train their future people.
Yes.
So that the way you rank doctors, the way you rank lawyers, that is the same way place you should rank teachers.
Sure. Hi everyone, welcome to Starspod, your window into the lives of young ones. Just like you know, Starspod is your show where we bring in young persons, young individuals who are doing amazing in their different fields. We bring them here to talk about their struggles, talk about the challenges, and how they've been able to overcome it amidst, everything happening in Nigeria. Now, today on this show, we have an educator. And it's amazing when you see a young person saying, oh, I want to become a teacher. Oh, I want to dedicate my time into, raising the younger generation. Today, please welcome with me, Mr. Should I call him educator Damilola? Right.
Yes, you're correct. Thank you very much.
Trust your God. You're welcome to the show once again.
Yeah.
So just tell me a bit about yourself. Tell me about your background. Tell me a bit about yourself.
Okay. Just as you have started, my name is Damilola. Full name Owoyomi Damilola. I'm a teacher personally. I actually grew up in Ile-Ife, in Osun State, Nigeria, and Ile-Ife is more or less like a town compared to Lagos, and the most common kind of education there is public education. Most of us attended public schools from our primary to our secondary, even to tertiary level. Yes, that is it. Then when I was about to choose my career, I know many people we were thinking of becoming medical doctors and all, but then I found myself in education line, and then when we started, I developed interest in it, and I feel it's worth it because.
Okay, so how did you find yourself in education? Is this something you really had passion for from the start, or what was your childhood dream like? What was it you wanted to become as a child?
Sometimes I wanted to be a soldier, Then I grew up. I said I want to become a doctor.
I understand the conflicts.
Then as a science student, you wanted to become a doctor, but then my JAMB results could not even sustain. I can't just even think of becoming a doctor. Then
give me the results
in the JAMB. Then you have to just look for an alternative. I was like, okay, let me go for education my first year. Then I can write JAMB and come back to the medical line. But then when I started education, I felt, this is the kind of field I want to continue. So here we go. Okay,
so from start, it was not like you wanted to do education.
Yes, it wasn't like
education wasn't even an option. It wasn't on the table.
It wasn't.
You wanted to do medicine.
Yes.
But as fate would have it, your JAMB result, could not push you.
Exactly.
And
like that.
Should we say it's a matter of let me just do it. Let me just take it. Since my JAMB results cannot do it, let me just for the meantime.
It was not as if I wanted. It was like that. It was. I wanted to go for medicine, but then with the reality of things, then I was like, okay, the alternative is education. Of course, I can teach. When I was in SS3, I used to teach my SS2 students.
Junior, yes.
So I was like, let me go for education. Then after my 1 year, I can take JAMB again and come for medical line.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. So what really was that like an inspiration for you to become a teacher, or was it just because you could not actually actualize your dream of becoming a medical doctor? Was it a separate inspiration, maybe something somewhere that has been pushing you right from start?
I think one thing leads to the other actually. Um, Coming to education was because my jam cannot take me to medicine. Like I didn't qualify for
Medicine and
medicine.
surgery, yeah.
Yeah, but then when I started education, I felt this kind of field I want to continue in because of the passion. I saw that basically you cannot change the world unless you change people. And the best way to change people is if you are able to change them, are able to catch them young, yes, at their early stage, when they are teens, when they are adolescent. That is when you can catch them. So I feel this is kind of field I want to go into so that I can assist, I can, in my own power, I can do my best to, change
Lives of the young ones,
yes,
which is quite
exactly.
impressive. So, as a teacher yourself, looking back, do you think there is someone that a particular child that has inspired you, and you felt maybe you're in secondary school, and while you were on your journey in school as an educator, trying to study. You said you studied biology education.
Yes.
Was there like a teacher that like kept you going and did not like make you say, "Oh, this is not what I wanted. I never wanted this. Am I wasting my time?" Have you ever? Is there someone there?
Yes, when I was in SS2, there was actually a brother, a street brother in my streets. Then he just finished SS3, so he used to teach us at SS2. Then I was surprised. How could you have known all of these things? You're a fresh graduate. He even teaches people in under level. I was like, how do you know all of this? Then that was like a motivation for me that
For you.
if you can do, then I can do. I remember our first conversation. I was asking him questions. He was just laughing. I was like, maybe he doesn't know it. But then I was like, so you know all of these things, and then I gained a lot from him. He taught me mathematics, physics, and chemistry, and they were most of the topics he taught me. Then I cannot forget up till now. I think that was the first motivation I get. And then when I gained admission into school, then there was a lecturer. In his first class, he told us just the same experience as mine. He wanted to go for medicine, but ended up.
So you were like, "This is it." That's someone that has
so,
gone ahead of me.
so it's not only me anyway.
Okay.
So while he was talking to us, he said he wanted to go for medicine, but he ended up in education. And then he finished with first class then, and he was retained. So that was like a motivation. Okay, that means that maybe if I also try and I can follow
His footsteps.
his
Yes.
footsteps. So that was one of those things that made me even stay in education when I gained my admission.
So considering that, have you ever thought it was like time wasting? I understand the fact that the street brother that was a teacher, was someone that contributed firstly to you saying, okay, I can actually do this. I can stay back in education and to become a teacher. And on getting to school, your lecturer as well was
Yes.
I understand how it can be when you're in school and they will tell you that, oh, there's no field, you cannot work. Oh, even if you are studying education, it does not mean you are getting. And I know you finished from OAU. So I know there's this, you're getting 2 degrees, you're having biology education, they're having education
yes.
part. I understand. Did you ever consider it as time wasting while on that journey?
No, I never considered it as time wasting. No. Because I felt that the teaching there is virtually an organization that doesn't require the work of an educator. Because sometimes somewhere you need to onboard new people, you need to train, you need trainers, and I think I never consider it as time wasting. I felt that if I am able to navigate my way very well, I can even be consultant for all of these big companies that
Now,
needed
You
trainers.
had other options aside from the fact that your jam result did not actually meet
Okay.
what you wanted, right? But I'm sure you had other options even when you were done, right? You could have said, "Oh, let me learn a skill, let me do this, let me do that." But why teaching? Because at least we will see a young person saying, "Oh, I want to become a teacher."
Yeah.
If you bring out 10 young persons, it will be so hard for you to find one or two that would say
Yeah, I
that,
understand.
oh,
Yeah,
the stereotype people have now towards teaching, like, oh, teachers are underpaid,
Underpaid.
oh, especially because of the money. I know that is why most people do not want to go into that profession.
Exactly.
They are this, they are that, they are, why did you stick to teaching and not say that, why not? Let me just take a trade, let me just learn this, or let me just do something else.
I actually, when I was in school, I developed this kind of interest in teaching, and I was like, okay, even if I'm going to learn a skill, it will be like a secondary. Then my primary work would be a teacher to teach. Then I think that was one of the reasons why I had to go for my second degree also in education, because I felt that there is no end to learning. You continue to learn, and that the more you go in terms of your education, then the more the opportunity you get, and even the more the knowledge you get to be able to implement all of these things in the classroom. So I think that this kind of motivation from the start, kind of decision from the start that this teaching is my primary duty. So other things are secondary.
Now.
I have some skills I can still, but then they are still secondary. Teaching is primary.
Okay, while on the journey of teaching, has there been a particular challenge that has come on you and you're like, oh, what did I get myself into? There has been a setback that wants to make you be like, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to quit. Let me just do something else.
I think the first was when I was still looking for, when I was job hunting, when I was in Ife, then the salaries, the the proposals were just ridiculous. You get, especially those you get from private schools, they were ridiculous, and the workload was, this is not kind of something I can engage in. So I was like, okay, maybe I should just focus on my hustling as a small boy. Let me just continue hustle. You get, but then you now think of the future. Can I continue to hustle for next 10-20 years? No, it's not sustainable. Then we continue applying. Then I got to the Lagos State to work, and that was
that was another thing. Yes. So some people would say that working with in public sector in a public school, I know how it can be. There is this notion that private school students are more calm, orderly, and everything. Unlike public school students, it is what we see around, right? Now, some people would say that teaching in public school, because I personally myself, my mom is a public school teacher, so I understand how it can be, right? Compared to, when she comes back home, the stress, they should just something that I'm like, this is not happening in my own school because I went to private school. Now, you being a public school teacher now, and considering the fact that you attended a public school growing up, was there any difference between schooling then, because it's been quite over the years, right, that you finished? Would you consider public school then and now, is there like a difference, or is it still the same thing?
I think presently there is a kind of revolution going on in the education sector,
and it's better, right?
And it is even spearheaded by persons like us who are more exposed to the global best practices of how to teach students. Yes, I agree that in some public schools anyway, it can be rowdy, and it's basically due to the population of students there. In private schools, you have
the classroom, everything.
Yes, and the fact that in private schools you pay before you come to learn. So this kind of message that is ringing in their head that
even if you want your money to waste, your parents,
you don't want your money to waste. Exactly. So I think that's just a kind of different that a factor that is kind of that makes the difference. But then I think public schools are getting professionalized, and with what I've been seeing, public schools they are going there. They are going places. Let me just put it like that.
I love that.
Yeah, they're going places.
Okay, some believe that teaching in public school can be hard compared to teaching in private school, and some people would say that teaching in private school can be hard. Coming from the angle, people would say if you're a public school teacher, you can just come in, or let me say public servant generally, just come in anytime you want to come in, do your bits and leave. They will say it in Yoruba that ogata ogauta owala arakwe. It literally translates to
yes, I
understand. And you're in the market. I'm just saying it to our viewers that don't understand. I can't get it correct, but I can't do it verbatim, but literally it just means that if you are like a salesperson, whether you sell low or you do not sell, you collect your money by month end.
Yes,
right?
Salary by month end.
Yeah, your salary by month end. No, some people believe that if you work in a public school or public sector, whatever the outcome is, you collect your salary by month end. Unlike private schools, some private schools are just there if you do not have students that are like productive, that can produce what you've taught, what they've learned, they would not pay you. Right.
Okay.
So do you think there is discipline in public school as well, considering the fact that it's some teachers that just do their thing?
Well, comparing private school with public school anyway, it is neither here nor there. is based on the perspective of who you ask. If you ask from a government official now, the kind of response you get will be different from what you get from parents.
Yes.
Different from what you get from even the student themselves. So depends on the perspective of who is answering the question. From the perspective of a teacher, I can say that public schools we have more qualified teachers even than private schools, and many people prefer to even teach in public schools, because in public schools it's kind of the workload is not as private schools. In private schools, I once taught in private schools where you take
Workload is
3
much.
4 subjects, even
Five
subjects that you
subjects.
don't even have you're not even proficient
You don't
in.
even know.
You don't even know, you teach them. But in public schools, basically you are even screened before you come, and then it's based on your qualifications and what we can see. And in terms of Gauta, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Well, I think that to me, I would say work-life balance, which is absent in most private institutions. Public schools, I will not agree that it is Gauta, because personally yourself, I don't know, you cannot be happy that your students, you enter a class, you are teaching students and you do not understand. That means you have already failed as a teacher. So I don't think that's totally correct. But then there is a need for a work-life balance, which is mostly absent in private schools.
But do you think that all teachers in public sectors understand this? Now, let me give you a scenario or an example rather. You are saying that most people want to teach in public schools because they know that the workload is not much. Because the workload is much, you have a lot of students.
Yes, workload, and also in terms of career growth.
Yes,
career growth,
you can grow. Yes, you can grow. You have promotions and all of that in public schools, which is not available in most private schools. Although some private schools have it, well-structured private schools. But at the same time, private school teachers, some believe that they are more diligent with their work. Now, let me give you a scenario. I had a sister who once worked in a private school. And in that particular school, you don't get paid unless the proprietress comes to your class to evaluate every student in that class. And she will not just call on students that are brilliant. She would come in, call students that, let me say the average students, or the students that do not even know anything at all. Those are the students she's coming to the class to evaluate. So when she comes in, she teaches, she will do her evaluation with a diary, you understand, with your lesson notes. So because she believes you've taught them, right, you've done every other thing, so she comes in, she asks them questions. If a student cannot answer the question, if a student cannot get maybe 70%, you are not getting your salary. Even if you get salary, to be delayed. And that doesn't happen in public schools, because who's coming to evaluate?
Anyway, you cannot be so sure that it doesn't happen in public schools.
Thank God,
yes,
you are the mouthpiece now.
We have quality assurance persons
coming in. But is it frequent?
Yes, it's frequent.
They come in frequently.
Yes.
To evaluate.
Yes. Normally, I think twice a term.
Wow, that's nice. That's
so we have quality assurance that comes around. They check your diary, they even go to class. They what you teach. Some quality assurance will spend a week in your school, following to class. You will spend your instructional materials and check everything. So I don't want to agree that that's correct. Then for the private school that are evaluating the teachers, I think that they have taken education to bear that, because the goal of education is to bring about a change in the behavior of the students. So if you are assessing students based on what is taught in the class, then you are wrong. Because you can be in the class for a whole time, and the only thing you can change is the behavior of a child. You have already done something. It's not until students cannot learn at the same pace. So if you're not evaluating students using the same parameter, then it's the base of their evaluation is already wrong.
Is wrong. Yes, I understand.
So that I think learning is not just about going to school, learning maybe biology or mathematics alone. It's also about the behavior, the attitude, and basically what we are training students who can go outside there and make difference in their environment, in their local environment. So that if we are basing them just on the theoretical part they have learned in class, then I think we are not evaluating anything. So this is also part of those things that we are trying to revolutionize in the education sector.
Okay, I'm glad that you said that all this are actually being put in place too in public schools, because public schools in rural areas. Have you taught in rural areas before?
But I have friends who teach
in rural areas. Well, how do you see education in rural areas considering public schools? Because I know public schools in urban cities, they are more monitored. Their students are just like private schools. But what about those in public schools? 'Cause you said you've taught, you had friends who
Yes.
teach there.
Yes.
Do you think they have the same access to quality education like those in urban areas?
Yes, of course. Even in the world, we have some places that are marginalized. We have some that are underserved. That's important. But then I want to answer the question in that way. I want to answer the question from the aspect of the curriculum, because I believe that the curriculum for rural area should be kind of specially created to allow them to focus on the trade in that rural environment.
But is it specially created? I think
It's
they have
not. It's not.
they have the same
Because
curriculum.
we cannot expect. We cannot be expecting the same result from student taught in an urban area and those in the rural area.
Why do you say that?
Thank
Because
you very much.
I believe if they have the same teachers, you should expect the same results.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So we are talking about localizing our teaching, which is very, very important. Let students know the application of what they are learning in class with their immediate environment. In urban areas now, it would be very hard for you to even go to class with the cassava stem.
Definitely.
But in rural areas, they can go to farm themselves, plant them, see how it is germinating, but which is practically almost impossible in urban areas. So that the outcome of those curriculum in the rural areas should be focused more on the practical, how they are able to apply all of these things even in their locality. We're talking about mathematics now. It's not until we start to use almighty formula. How well can we even apply the ones we have learned in rural areas
In
in
environment.
our environments? I think that's what really matters. That should be the focus. We cannot be expecting that in urban areas you should be able to do this. The environment is different. So that in rural areas, if you are using the same skill to judge those in the rural and urban area, then you might be wrong. Rural areas, basically, we are expecting that the children should maybe assist their parents also in the farm and all of those things like that. So that if you are not forcefully taking children away from their parents that they should come and learn, then you are trying to create a kind of gap. Instead, it should be streamlined together so that they can work together. Okay, you are going to farm to go and assist your father. Then the curriculum in that rural environment should be focused more on agriculture. So that they can easily localize what they are learning and use to improve
What's actually going on in the
environment,
yes.
so that it can be easily easily be adapted.
Yes.
So that we cannot be teaching students in rural areas. We are doing food and nutrition. We are teaching students in rural areas salad and shawarma. Instead of even teaching them how to properly process our cassava, which will be
you can teach them food and nutrition,
which
now.
is very, very much
cassava. You don't want them to know about
which is very practicable to them and very, very important.
We are in school to learn. So
we are teaching them shawarma and they might not be able to get those raw materials even in their locality. So it means that after we have taught them in the next 2-3 years, they might not be able to undo us dog. But then we are teaching them how to process this cassava, how to store them, which in the end of the day we work together. These people know how to do this one in this place can do this one. Then the economy is going together. I think that is my own perspective of that. So we cannot use the same yardstick that we used in the urban area
for the
judge. But at the same time, there should be a kind of standard for them.
A balance.
A kind of balance that okay, at the basis, at the foundation, you should be able to do this and do that. But then when it comes to advanced level, then I don't think it is actually a fear on them.
Thank you so much for that question. So as a 21st century teacher, there are lots of technological innovations that is out there right now, to teach, thanks to COVID-19, because I think that's what brought everybody to realization that we can actually
teach online.
Do this. We can actually teach online. We can actually do this. Everybody just literally embraced it. Because I learned of some public schools then that were even teaching online. They had some online classes and all of that, because I knew private school embraced it more though. Yeah, but some public schools also embrace it. As a 21st century teacher, how do you see technology? How do you use technology to ensure that it helps your students?
I think technology is actually a tool for teachers to use. It's not meant to replace teachers, but it is meant to even improve the work of the teachers. Because technology these days has even make work so
very
easier, and you can even get organized with technology. The technology has come to stay. There is no doubt about that. But at the same time, technology cannot replace teachers. But teachers will deal with complex human behaviors which technology cannot undo. Then I think technology basically is also a function of teachers' ability to use them. We have some teachers who old school teachers, so to say, who may not be able
Do
to,
not even know how to
who may not be able to handle them. So that is
system.
why persons like us need to step up and start to introduce all of this to the classroom. And also, technology has also been proven by different research to improve the overall achievement of students. Because students attracts them, it's captured their attention more than the paper pencil type. It also saves time. Personally, I'm a fan of students getting their e-notes on their phones, even printed, because the method of writing notes, copying notes down, it's time wasting left to me, because all of this it even gives room for errors. I'm writing boy on the board, you're writing ball in your notes, so that it saves time. Teachers can now come to class, then organize activity-based learning, so that you can peer read and come and explain to us what you have read. All those methods are they also help they also help in retention, to facilitate learning and ensure that students are able to better learn, and even at their own pace. It also encourages students to learn at their own pace too. Many times I use this Google Classroom for my students. Basically, I have all of them on Google Classroom. During the last time holiday, meet and break, we were on holiday, but we were working.
Because I was going to ask that, how applicable is this to public schools?
Yes, we are not all of them are.
Because all of them, as like in a private school, I know some private schools that would even mandate, once you are bringing your child must have a laptop or a tablet. But it's not like that in public schools. Yes. Not all students have access to phones. Maybe their parents' phones, even their parents might not even be using a phone that has access to internet. So how do we balance this?
Yes, because the economy of Nigeria now is that those who are even enrolled in public schools are those who are less privileged homes. Yes, so that you cannot, if you are not making it a compulsion for them to get a laptop. But if you have money for laptop, then that child will probably be going to a private school.
Definitely.
So then
most likely.
So you have to use the resources that we have, and I try to get students together. So we use Google Classroom. Personally, I use Google Classroom, and I encourage them, if a parent, even if it's your friend or people in your environment, you can always get it. I don't normally fix time for them. I do recording. I send, so you can watch it anytime, anywhere when you have time. But then there will be a deadline, a flexible one, that I expect that within 3-4 days you should be able to have checked these things. So I think that is my own opinion about technology.
You mentioned earlier that technology cannot replace.
It cannot replace teachers.
Yes. But let's look at it from another perspective. Okay. Because you can easily just go online, YouTube. I don't even want to say maybe going on platforms that can help, that you can read, but just go to YouTube. Okay. You can search for any topic, and you definitely find it there. Yeah, it should be properly explained. Do you think in the next 10-20 years, technology is going to not totally eradicate teachers, but maybe take a lot of people's job?
Well, those videos that they are going to watch on YouTube were also posted by teachers anyway.
I agree with that.
It automatically shows that they are still under teachers, actually. And then knowledge is not static. Videos on YouTube can only teach you a particular concept. Videos on YouTube cannot totally change.
But you can watch 10 videos with different concepts.
Yes. On a particular topic. Yes. So when you talk about education is talking about an holistic change in behavior. Not just going to YouTube to go and watch a particular video on biology and say you have known biology. It's not always like that. We also talk about localizing our learning. How is this learning applicable to your immediate environment? How can you apply all of this knowledge in your environment? Also, education, so a school system generally also, it's not about you come to class and listen to a teacher. You also learn even from your peers. That's it. Education starts the moment you step your leg. Not even the moment even in your environment. You learn. Yes. In the school system, once you enter the gate of your school, education has started. You look up, you see a banner there. When I came inside, I was seeing so many banners. I'm already learning.
Reading, yes.
Even from your peers, from your mates, you're already learning. So that all of these things cannot be replaced by internet. And this is one of those reasons why I said that teachers, tech can only assist teachers to better deliver their concept. I've gone to class to go and teach. I can make the video for students to watch later, and that's only more tailored to my students, to the characteristics of the students I'm having on ground. But the way I would teach SS1 students For instance, SS1 science students will be there on the way I will teach SS1 art students.
Yes.
If both of them now go and watch video on YouTube, you know the rest.
So do you think your teaching has been able to touch lives of students?
Yes, perfectly well.
Okay, give me an example of maybe a student that you've taught and you know that, oh, I have touched this student's life, or this student has changed from what I used to know him for.
Well,
outside of teaching biology, of teaching physics, but behavioral, outside of the academics. Okay. Yes, please.
Okay. It reminds me of a student. I was teaching the first time I will be teaching SS3. I entered the class. Okay, I'll be your new teacher. Then it was in the process of teaching. I thought I was teaching students actually, but then they were not actually following what I was teaching, but they were actually looking at me. Then one of them asked.
Maybe your clothes was distracting them now.
One of them asked me.
Or your shoe or your wristwatch.
Maybe. But one of them asked question. She was like, school, let's daddy.
Like, what school did you graduate from?
Yes. Then I was like, why did you ask? She was like, she loved the way I was teaching. So that itself developed her interest. Raised her interest. Captured her interest. So every time she will come to my office, she will come and ask questions. If the question I cannot answer, she will bring it. Not related to my field. Even in real life, she will come and ask me questions, and I do my best to even provide. If I cannot provide answers to them, I will tell her, come back. So that itself is kind of motivation for her. And she one time told me that she asked me a question, what can I do to become a teacher? Anyway, wow. That's a story for another day.
No, for another day. We must touch the story. We must tell the story. Yeah. So you have students who ask that. Yeah. Finish that story first. I'm coming back to
so she was like, what can I do to become a teacher? Then I asked her, why do you want to become a teacher? She said she loves the way I teach, and that I'm not really good at my subject here, that she brings questions from other areas and I'm able to answer. Then I told her that as a teacher, you cannot be confined in a particular place. You have to read, you have to stay updated and stay ahead of others, because you are coming to school to come and teach your students. You know what they have learned.
Yes.
So if you are not ahead of them, you are just going to class to go and educate yourself. So you're able to have a kind of chats. Then I give her my advice anyway.
So as your teaching methodology, has it produced someone, just like you mentioned? I was going to ask before you said she was asking you how to become a teacher. As your teaching methodology produced a student that says that they're saying, oh, I want to become a teacher, and I don't want to just say I want to become a doctor, I want to become, because now I know that students have a lot of choices. You can say you want to become a content creator, or I want to become a baker, or I want to become this. They have a lot of choices, thanks to civilization, technology, and all of that. But have you found a student that said, oh, that you've really impacted and is like, I want to become a teacher?
Yes, as I've said, that lady is an example of them. Then I believe that indirectly I've instilled in their mind that they can be a good teacher. You know, many people, just as I was at their stage, went to become medical doctors, law, and all of those top-rated courses. But then I believe that with my intervention, it's already printed somewhere in their heart that this is actually a good alternative that I can go. And I also think that an aspect of people having a kind of different ideas, like I can be a content creator and things like that. I think mine advice for them over time is that go to school, get your certificates, focus on what you are doing.
Before you say you want to do any other thing.
Some will say that this subject is not important for me, but I will tell them that, okay, you are an art student, say biology is not important for you. You can become a medical journalist in the future. And the knowledge you have learned in school, it's going to assist you in your field. Nigeria today is not based on what you have learned. It's based on what you can do, and it's also a product of everything you have to be able to gather together when you were in school. So that was actually my frequent talk with them and my experience.
So with them. What would you consider as your greatest achievement as a teacher right now?
My greatest achievement as a teacher. Well, collectively, in the school where I'm teaching presently, I think I've been able to improve the overall consciousness of the students, particularly in education. I've increased the rate at which students come to school, and I've increased the rate at which they even take education serious, which is evident. In my class last year, I was a class teacher last year. I had which is very rare for all of the students in the class to promote.
Wow.
So I had 100% promotion rate in my class during the last session, and this year also we are working towards it. And it actually didn't come so easy because
I was going to say that it was going to be easy. And it's a class of how many students?
Yes, we had but it was science class. It was, we had 29 students in the
29
class then.
students. Wow.
Yes, SS1A. Then because some of the strategies I use for them is that you cannot miss my class. If you are in SS1A, you come to school every day. If there's no reason why you not come, if you are sick, come to school without. Let me see that you are sick.
So they already have that instilled in their mind.
If you cannot come to school when you're coming next day, come with doctor's report that this is why I don't come.
And that is a public school.
That's a public school.
Right.
So that if you come to school regularly, you already have a better chance of learning in school.
Yes.
Other than those that don't come to school. Then you cannot be in my class and come late. What happened to the first period that we have had?
Learned, yes.
So how do you intend to catch up? That means you have to stay after school and cover what we have learned in the morning. I put all those measures in place, and after school also we create time for to read. I join them in reading. We read together. All of this has also helped my students to promote. I think that's one of the greatest. I have not been teaching for a lot of years, but in the past 2 years, I think that has worked for me, and I can boost for it anyway. I can boost of it.
Yes.
Anywhere I go.
Now let's take it back to you did your undergraduate in education.
Yes.
Same thing, your masters.
Yes.
In education. What do you think that can be done better? We have like let me say teachers that are not seeking to learn more, right? We have teachers that are just maybe, just like you said, maybe old school teachers.
Okay.
I'm just on their NCE and maybe that's all, and they're just waiting for promotions upon promotions at work and not learning more. But what do you think can be done better on the part of the government?
I think on the part of the government, actually they should allow teachers to actually pursue their personal development. Their academic development is very important, because in most schools, in most even public schools, there is no time like that for teachers to pursue.
Is it just time, or there are not even resources and things put in place for them to?
Yes, I think state government have provisions. If you want to go on academic leave, we have academic leave. You submit a letter. If it will benefit, if it's in line with your work of education, yes, then that kind of academic leave will
be granted.
Yes, it will be granted. It will be
approved, rather. Yes.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it will be granted. So I just feel that the only point I think is that teachers should be encouraged more to further their studies. Someone like me now, I rarely have that time for myself. You get, so I will now think of trying to pursue
another.
So if it is kind of timetable, kind of calendar for that, maybe for after 5 years you have about 6 months automatically.
Yes, it's just designed.
Somebody designed that after 6 months, maybe after five years in
first 5 years in service,
you have maybe a year to further you, which is basically for academic only.
Yes.
And that will encourage teachers to use the opportunities to further
That is impressive. So what would you say to, looking back, have you had someone, a younger person like you, that just found themselves in education, okay, and that has been wanting to say that? Because I know that happens a lot. Let me give you an instance. There is this lady when I was in school that wanted to study law. You know how schools can be, especially federal universities, they don't have your time. It's private universities that can maybe give you the course that you really want. And she didn't meet up, and she was given, just like your own distance, she was given education. But you were dedicated to it. You already knew, okay, I'm here, I want to do it, I want to make it work. But she did not really put her mind and time and everything into it. I really saw that she was my roommate, you understand, and all of it. Now, right now, she found herself in education, because let me say, the way the country is, most people believe if anything fails, you can become a teacher. Mm-hmm. Because you will see a school that will take you, whether as a private school teacher, most times private school teachers, that would take you. So what do you think that if you see someone like that, there are other people out there right now that are just watching and they just wrote jump and they've been given education and they're like, this is not what I want, this is not what I want. What advice do you have for such a person?
Well, I do not wish to even give them advice. I rather
Why don't you want to advise
I rather want to admonish the teachers' professional body to even make teaching profession a very strict, a very professional one.
Yeah, professional.
Yes, because teaching education should not be the last option. That's because I couldn't go for medicine.
I love that. Education should not be the last option.
It should be a course that students will want to go for. We are talking about people that will go to class to go and train and teach people.
Yes.
So that the way you rank doctors, the way you rank lawyers, that is the same way place you should rank teachers, and that if you don't have that professional certificate, you should not be allowed
to enter
into the classroom. So we have to first make that teaching profession very lucrative, very attractive, so that that means that only those who are genuinely interested in teaching line will come there, and that will start to shape. Because we cannot encourage those someone that doesn't have interest to start having interest.
Definitely.
But then it's because of the level at which we have found education as a course.
In Nigeria,
we believe that education, but I cannot go to medicine, I cannot do microbiology. Let me just go to this place, and they will take me there. And then we will see the jam structure.
Even the cut-off mark.
Even the cut-off mark, say it's always ridiculous. It's always unfair on a teaching profession.
Yes.
Why not give a doctor 150 and give a teachers 250?
And these teachers are the ones that are
to train the future doctors. So why should you now give teachers 150 and give doctors 250? And that's the origin of the problem. If you sort down first, then we don't have issues advising anybody, because even before you are going there, you are already determined that I want to become a teacher.
Yes, so thank you so much. It has been established now. If I do not learn anything at all, I've learned that if JAMB body is trying to give medicine 270, teachers to education too should be 270, because it's actually reasonable. It is really, really reasonable, because they're the ones that will still build other professions, people going into other professions. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to us right now. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section. See you. Bye-bye.